What's up, guys? It's Divine here, and I know this video took a while to come out, but I was a bit busy this month and had to work and all that stuff, and this is probably the longest video that I've had to edit, so it took quite a bit of patience on my part and hopefully yours. So if you like this sort of long form content, then please hit that like button or subscribe, and I'll be sure to do this more often with games that I actually enjoy. I think a big part of it was also me getting custom roboed out, so hope you enjoy. Now let's get straight to it. Custom Robo Arena is a vast improvement over Custom Robo for the GameCube. And the reason is it actually feels like a game, like you actually have some agency, and you get rewarded for exploring around. The story is more generic, but it isn't the only part of the game to focus on, so it's not hampered by just a generic story. The story of this game does a much better job of showing how dangerous robos are by allowing you to actually battle outside of the Holosseum this time. We also get a better taste of battles and parts, with an included polishing mechanic, so we can polish our robos. We also have a store, so we can buy parts and robos and different areas where we can pose our robos called dioramas. And there's also a robo training center where, guess what? We can fight exhibition battles without any dire consequences. We also get a longer overall experience as well, with my story playthrough clocking in at about 20 hours, and I left plenty more content on the table. I'm sure if I rushed through this story, it would have been much shorter, but initially I was exploring the additional content. I felt compelled, as most gamers are, to explore the world that Nintendo created, and this time around the developers actually let us have fun with their game. Let's pull back a bit and talk about it. So I criticized Custom Robo for GameCube for being a bit too gatekeeping and linear, despite having an enjoyable story. Fortunately, Custom Robo Arena learned from both of these points and makes the battles much more accessible. Now, we'll see just how good Custom Robo could have been, how Custom Robo Arena hit and missed, and where the series could go from here. Well, honestly, I didn't understand why Nintendo hasn't brought this series back yet, but after playing this story in this game and experiencing all the nonsense, I think I have a very clear understanding why now. The gameplay. Even on the Nintendo DS, I would say especially on the Nintendo DS, the Custom Robo formula translates really well. The buttons are all the same, so coming from the GameCube game feels natural. You get ratings this time on each battle based on your remaining HP, the time it took to take down your opponent, and your highest damage in combo. You also have a battle rank now, and you get points towards this battle rank after each battle. The score from your rating determines what percent of the total payout you will receive. Oh yeah, that's right. In this game, you have money to buy things, so you're not just given something when the game allows you to have it. Every battle earns you cheese, and the harder your opponents are, the higher your payout will be. With that well-earned money, you can buy parts and robos at your leisure and test them out in fights that don't matter. I have no problem losing a battle, by the way. The game is offering me a quick retry option, and it doesn't chastise me every single time I lose. Also, there's no more explaining before each battle, so you just get straight into it. Well, actually, all of your opponents ask if you're ready, even villains. With the DS comes some added interactivity in the form of polishing and posing your robo. Keeping your robo clean ensures you earn all of your payout. Otherwise, you'll suffer a penalty from fighting with a dirty robo, which is kind of petty, but whatever. Other than this, another NPC will give you chump change for cleaning robos. And that's really all there is to polishing your robo. There's no, maybe outside of a better performance for the robo and earning more money, there really is nothing else to this mechanic, and it becomes more of a chore than anything. Same thing for posing. You can pose your robo into different poses, and it doesn't really affect anything. It's not like you get a bonus for having a specific pose in a diorama, so it ends up just being there if you want it to be. And I imagine it was fun to do if you were playing against friends or you were taking advantage of the online multiplayer. So I can't completely say it's useless, but it is very unnecessary in the main campaign. Well, that's not the complete truth. There are mission battles now where you have to fight under certain conditions, like having defeating your opponent in a certain time limit, or only using certain parts, etc. And one of these involves approaching NPCs with your Robo already polished. So if you are seeking these members out, you're constantly checking how clean your Robo is, for a reason. Many of these mission battles aren't obvious either, forcing you to, interact with the world and the environment, talk to people. A great touch at adding character and depth to the game. You can check your mission battle progress easily in the main menu, which has been vastly improved over the GameCube version. And you can save at any time. What a concept, right? In battle, you can expect more of the same from the previous games. With a larger number of battles, though, comes a larger variety of options and choices. Stages are set for the most part, but soon you'll see more complex and interactive stages that are as much a hazard as your adversary. And if you explore, you'll find many different types of CPU opponents with unique playstyles that start feeling like personalities at times. Because I was able to have such a wide range of experiences against specific parts and NPCs, I was more able to easily notice what my opponent wanted to do and counter that loadout. Finally, we reached a point where you can practice against that specific loadout again and again to form a plan around it, almost like we're playing a game. Before I forget though, that Robo Center I mentioned also features arcade battles where you can fight against a series of battles to attain a high score. And when you get a high enough score, you get a trophy. I stopped at round 2 because I'm not that invested, but you do get a higher score by using different parts each battle, including the Robo. So I do like that you're getting incentivized to go out of your comfort zone and try something else. Finally, there are some side quests and items to get. Later in the game, you'll get an opportunity to go out into the city and fight criminals and earn rewards, get some money, some of which are really hard to find without a guide. You can also find video chips around the world that feature specific combos with loadouts and different robos. All in all, gameplay is a little better with a more interactive and developed game world, much more open battle mechanics, a rating system for players to judge performance, an economy for earning new parts, and mission battles for players to test themselves further. Now, the music is one of the bigger steps back from the custom Robo GameCube. Where we had headbangers like the lap theme or even the battle prep screen, this game goes for a more generic, sportsman-like motif. The school theme, for example, is a head bopper for the first few times you hear it. But after a few hours into the game, it kind of drones on you. There's just too much intensity and no real lull moments. And that's where Custom Robo Arena emotionally loses the player, or at least me. For the GameCube, that game did a great job of trying to mix up the soundtrack so that we had intense moments when we're fighting someone. And then when you get back to the apartment, it's much more slower and chiller. And I think I understand why there's this big change. Custom Robo does a good job of trying to tell a story in its universe, but playing this game makes me realize that this universe is really just a sports game. The constant pumping music in every locale, the tournament locked story, the obsession with performance, it's clear as day. I mean, I don't know why I'm revealing this in the sound department of the video, but reflecting on all the tracks, it reminds me of S's Tricky or Tony Hawk Pro Skater or Burnout. where you have all these rock songs pumping the player up for some action or, to get the highest score. But Custom Robo Arena doesn't totally play as a balls to the wall kind of game, and actually allows some downtime for the player between story segments. It would have been more appropriate during these times to play more mellow music for the player to think or stand still. And this constant sports motif really shows itself in this story. Boy, is this story a bit of a mixed bag. So we're about to spoil the story. We literally have a tourney after tourney after tourney, so it's not really, mind-blowing as the GameCube version. And there's little bits of intrigue, but really it's just the padding talk. The padding talk is when characters just drone on and on about something that you can just say in a few sentences, and the writers just haven't mastered that small talk in cutscenes at all. I mean, it goes on and on for some characters and some scenes, and character portraits are very expressive. I actually like the art in this game, and there's a lot of expression in the character portraits that don't need to be spelled out for the player. Like, we're not dumb, okay? Maybe it is for kids, but I don't think even kids, whatever. This isn't the whole story, but there's just some bits that feel dragged out, and I just mashing A to get through. To set up the story, you play as a kid whose parents just moved into town, and your father, Dr. Jiri, his job just relocated him. You and your sister, or he and your sister, work at NeoBrain, which is a custom robo research lab. The family dynamic is kind of repetitive, where you have to walk to a chair for breakfast and dinner every day for a progression, but they work well as the character's base unit and everyone interacts believably. There's a few comical moments that made me genuinely chuckle, so I appreciate their addition, right? Not to mention, the frequent small moments builds up an emotional tie with them, and that does get threatened a few times throughout the story. So, starting off, we have a nightmare, but we're right into the game. We're already pressing buttons, we're already fighting against this huge tank of a tank, and then we wake up. We start our first day, go down to get breakfast, and our father gives us Ray MK2, our first Robo. We have the dream of one day becoming a police officer to fight crime. Sounds pretty heroic. At school, you encounter your team by just stepping in when one of this team members runs away. He literally skedaddles. So you stand in, complete stranger, no one knows you. You stand in for this team and win your first Robo fight. You wash the floor with this guy. This guy's on the school's best team. So these two hopeless students take notice and kind of ask you to join their team, Liv and Dennis. And geez, I just want to take an aside really quickly to say I hate these fake decisions in any game where you cannot actually decline or say no, right? Just don't give me an option. Let the protagonist say okay. Like, if the path is set in stone, just set it in stone. Just write it, okay? Don't give me a fake choice of yes or no. Now, Liv and Dennis are some of the most annoying characters I've come across. Talkative, unreliant, useless in team mechanics. Maybe not completely useless, but in fighting, they're useless. From the moment you join their team, you'll be doing everything for them alone. Sometimes even being sicked on people on command like an attack dog. Dennis is completely beta and unconfident, and even until the end of the game, he never really becomes anywhere near capable in robo battling, so you can depend on him as a teammate, but you're forced to hear his whining and complaining about being useless for the whole game. Like, how did this kid even make it on a team? And the entire game, your team will watch on the sidelines as you take on all this mental stress, which the game keeps on stressing is a big factor in custom robo battling. So what about Liv, you're saying? Oh, she can't even dive into a robo. That's right, she just runs her big fucking mouth as this feisty, manipulative, emotional daredevil, challenging everyone for you and then telling you to fight in her stead. Her character is pushing, demanding, and just horrible. The game even acknowledges this and gives you a chance to tell her off, even though it doesn't change much. I mean, it probably doesn't sound so annoying, but there are parts of the story where lives are at stake, and Liv, someone who cannot use a robo to literally save her own life, fucks around. And right before she's about to find out, she forces you into a position of fight or watch people get hurt. It's so contrived, it hurts to play through, and the yes or no options seem like a slap in the face. You can't just leave her to get cooked, the game won't allow it, so just initiate the battle for me. I can already customize the robo in the battle prep screen. Why do people need to ask me if I'm ready every single time? It's just a minor annoyance that occurs many times. And neither of these characters really change by the end of the game. Dennis is still a pussy by the end, although he grows the balls to help with electronics. And Liv is insufferable up until the end, where she's being used by the big bad. But more on that later, let's continue with the story. So you go through your first day of school learning the ins and outs of battling and about the tournament in a few days. You can also look up the history of custom robo lore by interacting with computers in the school main hall. This lore is kind of cool, and it's also important as there will be some days where you'll be tested on this custom robo history or some parts in general trivia. As long as you pay attention, it's not really hard. After every story bit, you can kind of explore the town and fight more civilian battles or exhibition battles. This is when you'll start to encounter mission battles as well, likely starting with that clean Robo faction. By day 2, you'll go with your team to the Robo Center and fight some trainers. It mainly functions as a simple tutorial so you can know when there's a willing opponent ready to battle, tossing their cube in the air. It's also one of the first days where Liv shows how bossy and aggressive she is. She encourages you to fight everything walking, talking you up to the staff so they also want to take a crack at you. And then she feels safe doing all this because, and I quote, "After all, I've got Dennis an asshole with me." Well, I named myself asshole because look at the way this kid walks. He's an asshole. Although everybody walks like that in this game, but whatever. But it just highlights her arrogance. And for someone who can't even control a robo, she sure knows how to control the men around her. I mean, I'm just saying, people paid money for this. I paid money for this game. And I don't need the characters in the game giving me orders to play the game. I come across this often in the series, and it rubbed me the wrong way while playing Custom Robo for GameCube, but I didn't know why. But this mature playthrough of Custom Robo Arena has illuminated my girth, my gaming third eye. Characters like Harry from Custom Robo GameCube and this Liv character are supposed to be coaches. Because after all, Custom Robo is a sports game, and most sports have coaches that push their players past their limits. Unfortunately, as Harry and Liv are more metaphorical coaches than literal, their pushes are either obvious choices the player wants to make anyway, or having a helpless or pathetic teammate with no aura because they lose all the time, or whine in self-pity. Dennis and Liv are two sides of the same Harry coin, where Liv won't stop putting the player in these dangerous situations where she can't even do anything, and Dennis is just a loser and unreliable, forcing you to pick up his slack. Is it just me, or do these characters suck? Rest of day 2, we visit a parts shop and then we bring our friends home. Our mom yaps that our dream is to win the Robo Cup and join the police corps, and Liv just latches onto that shit. So thank you, Mom, for giving her more ammunition to control us. Our sister also reveals that Liv was the previous Robo Cup champion support, which does add some credibility to her arrogance and self-importance. I mean, after all, Liv is the main character of this story, and we're just lucky enough to have crossed paths with her. Liv then learns our dad and big sis work at NeoBrain, and immediately asks to visit after the tournament tomorrow. I mean, once again, this mental drain thing, right? Like, and everything, but I guess fuck a rest. Resting is only for bitches. Anyway, Dad agrees, and the plan is set to head there after the tournament. Now is a good time to mention the flow of the game. After chatting and eating breakfast with the fam, you can go out and find extra fights outside the story. You are pretty free to explore the whole town in the morning and afternoons, either visiting stores, talking to NPCs and finding those mission battles, or going to the Robo Center on your own time. I would say this is the best of Custom Robo Arena's experience. Just exploring the town and doing your own shit. You actually feel like you're a part of the larger world, returning to some older opponents and watching their AI actually increase in difficulty. Due to how I recorded the footage, I did sometimes lose my Custom Robo memory and performed worse as a result, but there were some genuinely tough fights that I enjoyed once your battle rank starts to increase. The freedom of fighting also made me more comfortable to try out the odder selection of weapons to see how they fare in these tense situations, a chance I wouldn't dare take in Custom Robo for the GameCube to avoid being teased. At school, we meet up with our team where Dennis is looking at pictures of cats to chill out. I mean, who knows? This might be a secret winning strategy, right? Or maybe he won't even do shit and just sit on the sidelines watching. I actually scrubbed through all the dialogue and he doesn't even lose. He doesn't fight at all. Maybe it's tournament rules or something, but I think that just proves how much of a sports game Custom Robo is. I also realized Liv was willing to sacrifice the school team on this tournament on me carrying. Like, is she crazy? Such a high stakes as your first goal, like single-handedly defeating a stranger's team. This is insane. But at least all game long, the player's character's dick is sucked by everybody. Everybody tells you what an amazing commander you are, and you've only been diving for this long, and you're what? So, it's allowable. I'll allow it. So I win the tournament just to be told there's another tournament in a few days against a sister school. Awesome, a second tournament arc in the story. And both of our teammates hid it from us on purpose? What? Team! We also learn about a secret technique that the opponent has through a rumor, but we don't know much about it, so we just head over to NeoBrain to see my dad and sister. At NeoBrain, your father greets you and your friends and lets you explore around the place. You can talk to some of the characters here, one of whom might set off your villain alarms, and Dennis also discovers a secret Project Hadron file. This gets a quick reaction from Kinjal, one of the researchers at NeoBrain. She shoos us away and we return to our pops with Liv. Liv happens to know our father is working on Ray MK3 somehow, and really tries to manipulate the situation so that our pops will risk his job to secretly give an experimental space exploration based custom robo to his own son. What? She even tries to goad us into saying we want to try it out ourselves. Like, jeez. But Pop stands on business and he crushes this bitch's dreams, but he does want to see our progress in person, seeing we won a tournament and all. He asks if we're tired, but Liz speaks up for us, or Liv, whatever, speaks up for us and says we're fine. Like, why the fuck can I not respond to my dad directly yes or no? You have me say yes or no for all this other bullshit, but I can't talk to my own dad who asked me a question yes or no? Why does Liv have to open her mouth and suggest, he's fine? Like, bitch, shut the fuck up. My dad asked me, not you. Why can't I? We crush the Autobot, which impresses Pops and Kinjal, who was just snooping around watching a fight. Anyway, we head back home, have dinner, and we have another opportunity to roam the city, but at night. See, one cool thing about this game is that time changes during each day. After breakfast, before school, and after your class is kind of like morning, early afternoon. Then after story sequences, it's usually late afternoon with an orange glow. And after eating dinner, it's nighttime. At least from my understanding, the morning and late afternoon are pretty similar gameplay-wise. Nighttime is highlighted by police officers that guard all the exits to your sector, reminding you that criminals are roaming around. There's nothing we can really do during the nighttime right now, so we head to sleep. Next day, we do some more battling around town before heading to school, where we find Dennis pacing back and forth nervously because Liv took it upon herself to go to a rival school and scout out the skills. Dennis leaves in a tizzy like he's actually about to do something, but we catch up to him self-doubting as expected. We get to the school to see Liv getting grilled for snooping around, and we end up having to fight to leave. This leads to the school's team leader, Celine, coming out and reasonably resolving the situation. Like, why can't we have her be our coach character. She's emotionally healthy for one, seems wise, and she can actually use a damn robo. Ah well, just fuck us, right? Liv, unsatisfied by not learning what the secret technique was, makes us head to the Robo Center to get more information. A few fights later and we get a video chip displaying a commander using what's known as the Soul Boost. So this technique is still mysterious, but we see that the power, it basically makes the Robo glow and do more damage. I mean, that's it. The next day is another tournament. Yes! Dennis picks us up from home and we walk to the rival school to prepare. Dennis notes that since Liv can't dive, our team actually doesn't have enough members to compete. But Liv just lies, placing herself after Dennis and then us to place all the pressure, give us a fighting chance to compete. Jeez. AKA, we can't lose or we'll forfeit the tournament. Like, what? Why? I'll play your game. You don't have to force me to play it, okay? After forcing us to cheer for the team, Dennis loses in seconds and we gotta carry solo again through another tournament. Dennis has the audacity to say we won. Alright, pussy. Lo and behold, our next tournament opponents were spectating this battle, and after some more manipulative fluff from Liv, they expose where the secret technique, Soul Boost, can be learned. She forces us to head to that mountain right now to meet the teacher. Alright, mental stress and everything, but fuck a rest. Resting is for bitches, I guess. Now, earlier I claimed that Custom Robo Arena gives you more agency to the player, right? And this is true given the amount of freedom you have every day. But the story is progressed specifically by Liv pushing, demanding, and imposing on the player. This is honestly why these games are so hard to get into. The player character has zero input on the trajectory of story beats. The main character never makes big decisions for themselves, and they kind of just get caught up in these situations by chance or force. In other games, the main character has an objective with sub-goals to reach said objective. It feels like a natural progression of events while playing the game. In Custom Robo, you are often put into these situations against your will, and even though the main character has an overarching goal, in this game it's to win the Robo Cup and join a police corps. But the player doesn't have sub-goals to get there. Instead, we're just led by coercion through these different situations that just so happen to lead to where we want. It's a weak motivator to keep following these characters without a clear indication of how it will accomplish the overall objective. Back to the story, we head up to the mountain, passing the trials offered by police officers on the way, just to be denied and told to go away by the teacher himself, named Stark. So we head back down the mountain and head home, where another police officer, Duncan, who watched our battles on the mountain, challenges us to a battle tomorrow after school at the Robo Center. We agree and head to sleep. The next day, we head to school, and afterwards, we wash Duncan in loser juice. By a string of more coincidences, Duncan's boss, Chris, enters the fray, and Liv instantly tries buddying up to her to get her permission to see Stark. But her wiles are ineffective against women. Instead, we get a token to the back area of the Robo Center, where we can battle and customize practice battles, or go through the arcade challenge I mentioned a while ago. Day 6, we get a 20-question exam, which is pretty easy if you've been checking out the history and you pay attention to the parts that you buy. And then the team decides to head to Neo Brain after class, but you get a tip that someone's looking for us. It's Duncan, who wants to warn us about crime around Neo Brain. Okay, how coincidental. We were just heading there. Liv then takes this opportunity to butter him up and agree to bring along civilian children on an official police patrol after he just warned us how dangerous these criminals are, and he agrees? Very responsible, Duncan. At Neo Brain, Pops tests our talent again, which attracts the president of the company, along with Kinjal, and a new doctor, Dr. Mars, a mysterious authority who is just very impressed by our talent. All three of them agree that we're a good specimen to observe, so they give us Ray MK3. Looks badass too. Now we go to meet Duncan and to Shadow's police patrol, and soon enough we meet Marv, who's basically a bum defending his local territory. He has a dirty ass Robo too, so we crush him. But then the group runs into real criminals who curiously know how skilled we are and they want to fight specifically us. Duncan tries to fight for us, but he's a bitch. We step up to the plate and have our first battle outside of a Coliseum, which is really cool to imagine. All jokes aside, it demonstrates how dangerous Robos are when they fight in the real world, hence why Duncan was hit by a stray bullet. The only problem is doing so is illegal, and to fight, you'd have to unlock your security lock on the Robo, which Liv kind of just knows how to do and does for us. So after we won, Duncan snitches on us because he's a bitch, and we get a talking to from his boss Chris, but at least she acknowledges that there was no other option, and for our bravery, she actually gives us a letter to visit Stark. Great, another random occurrence that just ends up being exactly what we needed. We head straight to Stark after class the next day, where of course, he presents us with a test to prove our worthiness. We have to find 3 commanders hidden around town and complete their trials. Now this is a nice little part where you can run around the city, and honestly, it was pretty interesting. One of the fights you can actually skip if you help the guy out, so I thought that was pretty cool. With victory in hand, we return back to Stark for the final test. And although you may have noticed if you fought anyone between your last test and Stark, you can already do the soul boost after finishing that last fight, or last test. So I thought that was also another cool touch. Now, soul boost is extremely useful in difficult fights, and you can turn the tide of a battle in a pinch. It's the best time to go full aggression head on, but there is a time limit to its activation. When it runs out, your Robo is very vulnerable, and this weak state, it also has a time limit, so it doesn't last forever. All in all, I would agree it's a pretty balanced mechanic. So now that I have the soul boost, the team confidently makes their way to the 3rd tournament, where we hear cries of help. There are criminals attacking in broad daylight? We slay the we crush the opponent. So we defeat the guy who the criminals sicked on us, and before tackling the big boss himself. Now, because we got mentally weakened by the previous criminal, so we do get mentally affected by he's an illegal part. Oh, so that's why. Well, anyway, because we're mentally weakened, Liv demonstrates a hidden ability where she can share her energy with another commander. An astonishing find to our criminal friend, but we dispose of him and make our way to the tournament. These guys were easy. Duncan shows up to tell us that one of the criminals we stopped earlier was apprehended, and we also learn how dangerous it is for Liv to share her energy. You know, if she were a better character, I would care, but fuck Liv. The next day, Kinjal shows up at our school as our professor, which is starting to get weird. If you're paying attention to the story, this should definitely be where alarm bells are ringing. We also meet another commander, Hunter Frazier. He wants Liv to help him by being his support in the Robo Cup, but Liv denies him. She also becomes a little self-aware of how much of a bitch she is. Afterwards, we're summoned to Police HQ, where Chris tells us that she's ready to give us a license to fight outside of the Coliseum. We head up to Stark to complete this challenge and defeat him, and we earn it. Great. Now we can start patrolling for criminals at night. Now, as far as I know, catching these criminals is completely optional and only available at night. You get a reward for each criminal you turn in, earning a new Robo if you complete the entire side quest. Some of the criminals are only available in sequence and can be tricky to locate around town. But this is another moment in the game where you have agency, and it would have been cool to reach this state through direct intentional actions from the main character rather than by chance. This first night, we take down 2 criminals for cash rewards and turn in for the night. We find ourselves taking another easy test at school, and then the team heads over to the police station per Duncan's request. There, Liv's brother Eddie has been training the police squad after his own training arc all over the world. The two have a moment, then Chris gives us a police model Robo, Climate, whatever. It's really good at rushing opponents down. I used it for a few matches, but I'm a sucker for the incredibly balanced Ray models, so eventually I go back. Eddie denies us a match, which is fine, but Liv can't handle the people around her making their own decisions, so she literally starts plotting. After we head home that evening, she comes to our home, lies to us that a criminal is nearby, and has us control our Robo out of the Coliseum with the license that we just earned, for us to realize that she tried to set us up in a street fight with her own brother. Jeez, what a character. Eddie realizes immediately and explains, hey, I joined the police corps to catch our father's killer. And he also chastises Liv for being selfish and using us to accomplish the same goal. She brushes it off by saying, oh, we love diving anyway, but this bitch is exposed here as the manipulator she really has been. She keeps way too much important information to herself while directing others with almost feigned regret. Dennis, rightfully so, gets upset at all this, and we can even agree with him that Liv's a bitch. But whereas he leaves and goes his own way, which is a Chad move by the way, we're forced to still work with this bitch like she didn't just admit she was manipulating us from day one. It leaves a sour taste to chill with Liv after all of that, and we still follow her directions without any resistance. Dennis leaves the team for some time. Why can't we? We rush from this sorry scene to an actual crime taking place, and it's our parents being assaulted. Eddie and we take care of them, making mom and dad proud of how far we've come. We've catch some more criminals at night, then drift off to sleep. Next day at school, Liv plays sad and sorry, acting like she's sad and sorry, hoping Dennis comes back. Meanwhile, we do so willingly without a second thought. You do get an option to speak up, but it's either our team forever or I'm done with Robos. Like, really? I chose the first option because I'm not done playing the game, but why these two extreme options? Where's the middle option where you can say fuck you, Liv, and just live our own life doing our own work to join the police squad or get ready for the Robo Cup? I'm personally just sick of being led by the nose by this very flawed character. We play hide and fight with two teachers and a non-student at school before Pops summons us to Neobrain. We test ourselves against Neobrain pet Sling, a kid who's a sore loser. But after mopping him up in the first battle, he switches to illegal parts in front of all of the scientists there and loses again. What a surprise. Dennis also shows up in the lobby and apologizes for misinterpreting shit, and just rejoins the team as useless fodder. I mean, that didn't last long, but Dennis doesn't strike me as the type to think for himself, so I guess it makes sense. After we catch the last big bad criminal, we collect our reward and then get ready for another contest tomorrow. This is a much bigger tournament at the Robo Center, where the winner gets a free spot in another tournament. 5 tournament arcs within the game and within 2 in-game weeks. I mean, even animes like Yu Yu Hakusho had other objectives for him to do before the huge tournament arc. And even Dragon Ball Z has filler episodes that there's more than just the tournaments or the fighting. Maybe there is a market for this genre of gaming, but clearly by the series' popularity, that market is small. Even I am being disillusioned that this series needs to be revived. With very few choices that matter, or any input from the main character himself about where the story goes, it's hard to get invested and care about the journey or characters really. Especially with useless companions like Harry, Liv, or Dennis. After a while, you stop caring about where the story goes since progression is out of your hands, or you just stop playing altogether. Anyway, let's get on with this because I've been writing this script for 3 days and I want to move on to better games. We win the tournament, face off against Hunter in an exhibition match, and then earn that spot in the Robo Cup tournament. Our family's proud, we sleep the chaos away. We talk to previous rival commanders who are receiving or not receiving tickets to the Robo Cup. But by the way, how the fuck did Dennis get a ticket though? He lost! What is he going to do when he gets there? He can't even beat the jobbers. And sure, that dude had a name, he was named, okay, but he's still a sack of crap that never redeems himself. but we're a team, I guess. The squad, that term is not earned. The team goes to the police station to report that kid at Neobrain who used the illegal part, and we end up bumping into Eddie and his partner Billy. Dennis, by the way, pretends that Eddie actually compares him as a rival, but he's clearly just talking about me. Liv suggests a party for the Robo Cup. I said no, but I don't really have a choice, just an illusion. The party is dry as hell, and we learn more about Liv's backstory, which I don't care about. So we head home, talk to the family, fight our sister who wants to see our skills again, and go to sleep. Next morning, we head for the cruise ship, where Stark sees us off, but he says he has a bad feeling, and we should be cautious, ready to help the defenseless. Dennis and Liv. As it turns out, this cruise is hosting the preliminaries, so we'll have to fight to earn our spot in the tournament. Then Dennis gets seasick, Kinjal gets weird, and we knock out. And in the morning, after checking on Dennis, Kinjal just injects us with a vaccine before we get off the ship. No document signing, no warning. Okay. We get a small tour of the island before checking into the hotel, and after a few more extra fights and shopping, we also get a tip from Dr. Mars that our father has been shipped off the island for an emergency. Now, our family is dismayed, but he assures us that our father's a great asset to the company, so some more of that villain talk. We also get a scene of Kinjal talking to Liv, asking her to show up somewhere, so we're starting to get more plot elements. Billy challenges us to see if we have what it takes to join the police squad. Eddie, who is nearby watching our skills, explains again how he left his little sister alone in the world to try and protect her while pursuing their father's killer. Man, what a great brother. Can you just say this somewhere else? We head to sleep, but Dennis wakes us up in the middle of the night saying he saw Liv heading towards Neobrain. So we follow after Liv, and we find her in this trance-like state in the Neo lab, and these guard robos come out and attack us. So already we're getting a little bit of a better story, a better direction from the game. And then we get a scene with Kinjal, who kind of spoils that we've ruined her plans. Yet, on our way back, we bump into Eddie and Billy, who finally start explaining themselves. They are posing in the Robo Cup, yet they're undercover in a covert investigation, looking out for an explanation as to the recent rise in illegal parts hitting the streets, and they suspect Neobrain is the culprit. Eddie shows us a picture of Dr. Mars, the real Dr. Mars, who actually died years ago. So, we have an imposter among us, eh? The group splits for bedtime, and for the first time, Dennis makes himself useful by cleaning all our parts. Unnecessary if that's something you've been keeping up with yourself, and doubly unnecessary since there's an actual android that does the same thing, albeit for money, and will actually coat your parts to protect them from getting dirty in the future. At least he's trying. The two meet with Liv, who's clearly acting different. She's quieter, she's less assertive, she's acquiescent, but different, I guess. She and Dennis go off to the medical wing. We walk and talk around, and then the tournament games begin. The tournament is being held in a forest where the challengers are being tested for their battle and survival skills. Now you might be asking, survival skills? Like, we didn't learn any of that, but it makes sense in the context of the story overall. And our supports won't be coming with us, instead they'll just be contacting us via phone. The last part of the game is honestly exciting as you go through each area mowing down opponents. It makes me wonder, what if more of the game was like this, where you go to a location on police orders with a police support on call or something, and you're routing out these criminals in a gang territory who are actual capable police squad officers on your side. And I'm jumping the gun a bit, but the tournament grounds and later the Neobrain facility, it feels like Nintendo actually started to hit that mark between gameplay and story. But unfortunately, it's only the last 3 hours of the gameplay. We fight some more exhibition battles, and then we bump into Eddie, who's a little sad that we're about to fight so soon in the tournament. Until 2 rogue guard bots start attacking us. Really, all guard bots on the island are starting to turn to the dark side. We actually get to see them hurt contestants and even civilians. We leave the forest with Eddie battling along the way and race to save our mom and sister. I mean, that off the island excuse from Dr. Mars sounds like bullshit now that we know the truth. In fact, the evil villains introduced themselves, face, plans and all, on a Jumbotron. I mean, they must be expecting no survivors because that's just a dumbass idea no matter how you spin it. I mean, they basically volunteer information that Planet Hadron is this plan for world domination. And they're using Liv to dive into this Robo using her special abilities, that main character energy. So we learn about an underground section to the Neo Brain lab, we head over there to fight some more, and we find and rescue our father. He tells us about the elevator to the lower floors, so we head over there before we get ambushed by a bunch of more guard Robos. Billy and Eddie hold them off, while Dennis becomes Gizmo suddenly and starts helping our dad with malfunctioning elevators. In the lower levels, we have to fight 4 gatekeepers alone because Dennis is a pussy. Then we fight the Robo from our nightmare at the beginning of the game, twice, because Dennis is a pussy. Either way, we've unlocked the elevator to the underground lab and head down. I'm skipping a lot, but most of it can be summed up by the power of friendship, honestly. It's more pad and fluff, really. Down at the bottom, we face against Kinjal, whose loadout was a pain in the ass to deal with. But when she's through, we move on to Dr. Mars, or Scythe as he's called. Eddie tries to fight, but he gets badly wounded, forcing us to step up. We found him much easier to fight, and I think he has one of the coolest Holoceums in the game. These swords pop out horizontally out of the ground, and it makes you think about your movement around the arena. It creates a fun and hectic fight. In the super secret lab where Liv is being held to power Hadron, we fight against Hadron to safely remove Liv from the machines. But before we leave, Hadron sucks the life force from Scythe, absorbing his knowledge, words, and memories, and it can talk now, but not for long, as we deal no damage and get stomped. But the power of friendship saves the day, and all of our rivals enter this underground lab at the same time, live their energy like she's powering up a spirit bomb, and she transfers that energy to us. So now we're in perma-soul boost mode, and honestly, this final fight against Hadron is really tough, as all of his parts are OP and they hit hard. He hardly stays down as well, but a few attempts later and he bites the dust. So because Liv was forced to dive, Eddie believes she should be able to dive again for some reason, but I just don't care. Anyway, at the end of the game, Dennis of all people narrates the end event, and that's really it. We've beaten Custom Robo Arena's story. Well, there are a few more post-game tournaments to play out, but honestly, I've had quite enough of this series. Yes, I did flip a page. From 2 games released in the West, these are my main takeaways. Custom Robo is without a doubt a fantasy sports game. It just plays like one, the characters are always highly competitive, and in this world, nothing else matters but Custom Robo. It'd be like if Robo battling became a thing in real life, and that's all anyone ever talked about and competed in. Hell, even the police stopped using assault rifles in lieu of Custom Robos. Like, we get it, Custom Robo is huge in the universe, but it's all this universe is concerned with. Like, imagine in Final Fantasy X with Blitzball. Imagine 85% of the NPCs talking about Blitzball all the time. Like, shit, not even 85 of the NPCs talk about the actual villain in that game. And the sport feels like an actual distraction from the horrors of that world that it's supposed to be. In Custom Robo, everyone, sans about 5%, is obsessed with Custom Robo. And as a result, the world feels hollow and unreal. Like, do people have Holocene dates? Do they propose at the Robo Cup? What kind of food do they eat? Are there any other jobs other than a Custom Robo teacher, a Custom Robo police officer, or a Custom Robo researcher, or a Custom Robo salesperson? It just feels too unreal for players to get lost in or suspend disbelief when every other NPC has advice for you on Custom Robos. For example, where is just the opposite point, the opposite group? the people that hate custom robos, and how artificial society has become as a result. Even our mom, who was initially against us getting into robos because of all the mental stress and the danger, is rooting for us by the end of the game. Where are the conspiracy theorists and the spy cameras in the robo, or how the custom robo takes us away from nature? To bring home the point, if you're watching this video yourself, you likely enjoy video games. And I agree, video games are indeed a very awesome invention. But do 85% of the people in your town or city agree? Do we not hear how games incite violence or they're a waste of time? Where is that same energy in the custom robo universe? Aside from a mid-story, very unlikable characters, and unrealistic world perspectives, what does custom robo have to offer? Its battle system? Nigga, it's not that deep. The battles are great for what they are, but without an actual E-League or a real-world opponents to face against, the formula gets old fast. Then you add on the story, characters, and the world perspectives, and the game just falls flat. Okay, final paradoxical thoughts. Custom Robo Arena itself is a game I would recommend if you've played the GameCube game and want more from the series. The battles are still just as fun, and you will get more opportunities to play the game and have fun customizing. But the stories and characters really hold this game back from being more than just okay. And I can't say with confidence I would recommend this game or series to someone new. There's just not enough meat to sustain a truly invested gamer. Maybe back when the game had online features, or if you could find a friend to play with, you could extend the experience. But for the most part, I imagine most people dropping this game about halfway through. In other words, unless they find better writers or find a way to make the custom robo world more believable, Nintendo is actually right in letting this mid-ass franchise rest in peace. Thanks for watching.